The Vatican announced this week that Pope Leo XIV will proclaim St. John Henry Newman, Cardinal Newman, a doctor of the Church. How significant is this decision, and what do the 19th century teachings of Cardinal Newman bring us in the 21st century? For more, we're joined by Senior Vatican Correspondent at the National Catholic Register, Edward Pentin. Ed, thanks for being here. Newman becomes the 38th Doctor of the Universal Church. This will be one of the first acts of Pope Leo's new pontificate. What brought about this decision to elevate Newman now?
Well, he's been seen as, for a long time, as obviously somebody who really does promote sound orthodox doctrine, and so there's been a chorus of opinion trying to get him to be made a doctor of the Church, which of course that means that's a sign that that the person is a good bastion, if you like, of orthodoxy. And that his teaching is good to be known, and so that's really the reason. And it's been petitioned by particularly the Bishops' Conference of England and Wales, but also in America as well, the bishops in America and others, scholars worldwide. So it's a culmination of all of that.
Yeah, and there's a nice connection here between papacies and between when he was made a saint to now. What's that connection? What do you see there?
Well, yes, of course, his personal holiness was key to this as well, and he has a great record of that, of course, becoming blessed and then canonized in 2019. So all of that is connected with that, and it also connected, of course, with his teaching, which is seen as very relevant to today, and we can go into that if you like. But there's various elements of his teaching which many feel is very important today, considering that he had to deal with liberalism in his day, but now, of course, it's taken on a whole new meaning. But his teaching is still very relevant to that.
How is this being received in England? And what I was talking about before is Leo XIII made him a cardinal. Now Leo XIV is making him a doctor of the Church, which is kind of a nice symmetry there. But how is this being received in England?
Very well, yes. I mean, it's as I say, it was kind of expected. It was sort of, as I say, the fruit of this process. But it also comes at a time when there's a certain revival, signs of a revival, of a Catholic revival in the country. And so it all sort of coincides with that. And very many people think that it's going to help us galvanize that in some ways. Perhaps it's going to bring focus to England and to the teachings of Newman in bringing about that, on furthering that revival. So it's all very timely in that regard.
Yeah, I traveled to your native homeland in 2010, just prior to Pope Benedict's historic visit to the UK. And while we were there, we visited the Birmingham Oratory where Newman lived. Take a look. Father Richard Duffield. And he took us on a tour of Cardinal Newman's rooms. These rooms have not been touched since he died in 1890. Take a look.
There in 1890, and it's unchanged since those days. We've dusted a bit.
Oh, well, I hope so.
But otherwise, it's as he knew it. Everything in the same place, the desk, the chairs, all as he knew it. The lamp on his desk, the two lamps on his desk, one of them, and we're no longer sure which, was given to him by the Prime Minister, Mr. Gladstone, because he used to write letters about matters of church and state to Gladstone.
And you thought it was this one?
When I was a novice and did this guided tour almost every day, I always told everybody it was that one, because that's what I was told by one of the elder fathers. But now I've noticed that the novices say it was this one, and we've not found any proof. We'll have to have a look and see.
Okay.
So the room is unchanged, and the books are as he would have known them. In fact, on this shelf you have the uniform edition of his complete works, so you can get a sense of just how much he wrote. And that doesn't include the 17,777 letters, which were published, of course, after his death.
And you have all of those here.
They're all here. I'll show you in a moment in the archive where they're all kept in big boxes.
Oh. Now tell us about his prie-dieu over here where he prayed.
Over in that corner is his little prie-dieu with his crucifix and his rosaries. We're going to give one of the rosaries, which has a medal of St. Benedict on the end, to the Holy Father as a gift when he comes. And the crucifix is actually going to go and hang in the shrine, because I think it would be good to have the same crucifix that Newman used to be the crucifix of the altar. And so when the pilgrims come, they're praying before the same crucifix that Newman prayed before at his prie-dieu every night. A little bust of St. Philip, a little timer to time his prayer too, you'll notice, all there above the prayer desk. And then we'll go around behind, because oratorians only have one room usually, and they sleep there too. When Newman was made a cardinal, in those days, a cardinal was supposed to reside in Rome unless he was a diocesan bishop, which Newman wasn't, of course. And Pope Pius IX said, well, so long as you live in the state becoming a cardinal, you can stay in Birmingham, but you must have your own chapel with its own little dome. A cardinal's private chapel must be set up for you. So while Newman was in Rome receiving the cardinal's hat, the fathers gave him a room next door as a bedroom and built a partition and made a chapel.
So the chapel is on the other side where the bedroom once was?
Yes, the bed was once the other side of this partition, and then they built this wonderful chapel for the cardinal with its baldacchino. That's the state becoming a cardinal. The picture of St. Francis de Sales, because he was an Oratorian before he became the Bishop of Geneva, and Newman chose his motto as a cardinal, Cor ad cor loquitur, which came from the works of St. Francis de Sales, from the treatise on the love of God. And so Newman had great devotion to him.
Now, what are all of these pictures on the wall here next to the altar?
He kept pictures of his friends by the altar, so all he had to do was turn his head while he was saying Mass and face the pictures of his friends. He could make a memento of them while he was saying Mass. Some other treasures in here. I've left on the altar this chalice, which Newman always used, and that's the chalice we're offering to the Holy Father to use at the Beatification Mass. And that's wonderful that he's going to use that. And also, you're leaning on the prie-dieu, which was the cardinal's, and the Holy Father is going to kneel at that, we hope, when he comes to pray in the chapel that we saw downstairs.
And the chair as well.
Chair with the coat of arms.
No, I loved visiting the oratory there. It was just incredible. But tell me about, you alluded to this earlier, Newman's teachings, particularly on the development of doctrine. It's really been controversial in recent years with both sides of the ideological spectrum adopting Newman's thought in their own way. Is this going to cause the conception of doctrinal development to be stretched, perhaps in a way he never intended in this age of synodality?
Well, those experts on Newman don't think so. And they say, I asked one expert, Monsignor Andrew Wadsworth, who's head of the oratory in Washington, D.C., about this. And he said that he wasn't concerned, not if we're true to what John Henry Newman taught. It's going to be okay, he said. I think that we are better able to counter such attempts by reiterating what he has written. And so very many, I think, just say that really to counteract this sort of twisting of his teaching is really just to read his writings, which are very clear and concise, and come to your own decision, because it's very clear, as I say, and there's really little room to twist it. And if just compare the two, that's really what they're saying.
Edward, we will leave it there, and you can follow Edward Pentin's excellent reporting at Edward Pentin on X or at ncregister.com. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Raymond.